Dr. Alastair, a man shattered by the loss of his young daughter, relocates to a sleepy, remote town, desperate to outrun the ghosts of his past. He rents a room in a creaky old house owned by a deceptively sweet elderly couple, but the quiet he seeks is broken by the faint, echoing laughter of a child, a sound that chills him to the bone. He starts seeing her, a fleeting shadow in the corner of his eye, a small figure in the garden at dusk, a girl who looks just like his lost daughter, Lily. The landlords, with unnerving smiles, insist he's mistaken. It's just the wind, they say. The old house plays tricks on you. His grief turns to obsession. He's convinced it's Lily's spirit reaching out to him. He begins a frantic investigation, tearing at the town's placid facade. He discovers a horrifying history of children who have vanished without a trace over decades. The townsfolk, their eyes holding a shared, dark secret, are members of a cult. They speak of an ancient entity that demands offerings to keep the town blessed. The ghostly child is not a spirit, but a lure, a psychic trap woven from his own sorrow, designed to ensnare him. The climax arrives on a stormy night. Alastair confronts the entity in the house's crumbling basement. It's a monstrous being of shadow and whispers, feeding on his pain. It shows him a vision of his daughter, not as a ghost, but as a potential victim, her face filled with terror. He understands now. This isn't about his redemption. It's about saving another innocent soul. In a final, desperate act, he uses his medical knowledge to ignite a chemical fire, sacrificing himself to destroy the entity and its unholy ground. The house goes up in flames. The last thing we see is a small silver locket lying on the scorched earth, open to a smiling picture of the real Lily. His sacrifice has earned him peace and a final, heartbreaking reunion in the quiet of eternity. A year after the fire that consumed Dr. Alastair, the town of Havenwood has settled back into its chillingly quiet routine. The official report called it a tragic accident, but Chloe, a young journalist with a nose for untold stories, senses something deeper. Armed with a file on the town's unusually high number of missing persons cases, she arrives, her camera and notepad ready. The townsfolk are a wall of pleasantries and veiled threats. We're a quiet community, they say, their eyes cold. We don't like outsiders stirring up trouble. Chloe begins her investigation at the ruins of the house, where she finds a small, scorched silver locket. She starts experiencing unsettling things, whispers on the wind that sound like warnings, fleeting shadows that mimic her own. Following a lead from Alastair's forgotten police report, she finds a reclusive librarian who secretly passes her Alastair's hidden research. The notes detail the cult, the entity, and its cyclical need for sacrifice. Chloe realizes the fire didn't end the threat, it only delayed it. The entity is weak, but it's healing, and the cult is preparing a new offering. Her investigation leads her to the old town hall, where the cult is holding a secret ceremony. They capture her, intending for her to be the next sacrifice. But Chloe is not broken by grief. She is a fighter armed with knowledge. Using a distraction created from Alastair's notes, she manages to send a live broadcast of the ritual, exposing Havenwood's dark secret to the world. As police sirens wail in the distance, the entity, exposed and weakened by the sudden attention, shrieks and dissolves into nothingness. Chloe leaves Havenwood, the town now a media circus. She has won, she has survived. But as she drives away, she glances in her rearview mirror and sees the faint, translucent figure of a man standing by the road, nodding slowly before fading away. She clutches the silver locket, a tear rolling down her cheek. She saved the town, but she carries its ghosts with her. Months have passed since Chloe exposed Havenwood, but her victory feels hollow. The silver locket, a memento of the ordeal, has become a source of creeping dread. Sleep offers no escape, only nightmares of a shadowy entity whispering her name. She sees things the spectral form of Dr. Alastair, his face etched with a silent warning, the fleeting image of a little girl in her reflection. The entity was not destroyed. It merely latched onto a new anchor, the locket, and by extension, Chloe herself. Her life begins to unravel. The entity's influence bleeds into her waking hours, twisting her perception, isolating her in a world of fear. Desperate, she contacts the librarian from Havenwood, who reveals the entity's true nature. It is a psychic parasite that requires a host to survive. It is trying to bond with her to make her its new vessel. The only way to stop it is to destroy the anchor, the locket, but the entity's growing power makes that nearly impossible. The fight comes to a head one night during a violent thunderstorm. The entity pulls Chloe into a psychic battleground, a nightmare realm constructed from her deepest fears. It offers her power, success, everything she's ever wanted in exchange for her submission. But the spirit of Dr. Alistair appears, not as a warning, but as an ally. He shows her that the entity is fueled by the trapped sorrow of its victims. Instead of fighting the darkness with rage, Chloe confronts it with empathy. She reaches out to the tormented spirits within the entity, offering them peace and release. One by one, they find their rest, and the entity, starved of its power source, begins to crumble. With a final agonizing scream, Chloe forces herself back to consciousness and smashes the locket with the heavy book. Silence. The storm outside subsides. The oppressive presence is gone. Chloe collapses, emotionally and physically drained, but finally free. In the quiet aftermath, she sees the faint, smiling spirits of Alistair and his daughter Lily, hand in hand, before they fade into a gentle light. Her ordeal is over. She is scarred, but she has brought true peace to the lost souls of Havenwood. 2 years of fragile peace have passed. Chloe has channeled her trauma into a best-selling book about the horrors of Havenwood, hoping to close that chapter of her life forever. But the book's success has had an unintended consequence. It has drawn attention from shadows she never knew existed. She starts receiving cryptic messages, ancient symbols left on her doorstep, and the unnerving feeling of being watched, not by a ghost, but by something far more methodical. One evening, a man named Elias approaches her. He is not a fan or a reporter. He is something else entirely. He reveals he is part of a clandestine organization that has monitored entities like the one in Havenwood for centuries. He explains that the creature she faced was just a fledgling, a minor echo of a far greater, more ancient power. By destroying its anchor and releasing the souls it had consumed, she sent a shockwave through their world, a beacon. Elias tells her the locket was more than an anchor. It was a seal, a piece of a much larger prison. Her victory in Havenwood was not an ending, but an awakening. The progenitor entity, a being of immense power that spawns these lesser parasites, is now aware of her. It senses the void left by its offspring and the unique energy of the one who defeated it. Chloe's blood runs cold. The hauntings begin again, but they are different, now more powerful, more intelligent. Her apartment becomes a playground for a force that can manipulate reality itself. Elias warns her that this is just the beginning, a simple test of her will. The true entity has not yet turned its full attention to her, but it will. The final scene shows Chloe in her apartment, the lights flickering violently. On her laptop screen, the last sentence of her book, The End, slowly deletes itself and is replaced by 2 new, terrifying words: to be continued.